What's up, guys? 12 Volt Talk, Episode 5. Subwoofer Enclosures, Building, Buying, and Learning. This is your guest, BigDWiz here, along with my friend HiFiVega. You can find me at youtube.com/BigDWiz. You can find me at oldschoolstereo.com. Where might they find you, Mr. Vega?
You can find me at youtube.com/HiFiVega or HiFiVega on pretty much all the social media.
Awesome. That's what we're looking for. We're looking for somebody who's talking about speakers, and their name is Vega. What else could you ask for today?
Yeah, just a Serwin Vega.
I'm surprised you didn't name one of your kids Serwin, because that would have been impossible for me not to do.
I should have.
They would kill you. So, first up, we're going to talk about something from September of 1995. And I'm going to share my screen again. Today we're going to talk about an Autotronics magazine. And they've got 7 pro audio tips for your car. And I know what most people are probably thinking. What, use these pro audio, mid-range, these horn tweeters, all this stuff? Well, no, they're actually talking about other things like balance connectors, the Rockford Fosgate Punch 200, 250 M2 and the Punch 500M. Also the Symmetry, which took a balance connection. Even Jensen. Now, why would they talk about Jensen? Well, Jensen had BBE signal processing, which is from the pro audio market. In addition to Zapco, they also had balance line inputs at the time. So when you think about pro audio, you don't always have to go toward the pro audio speakers. There are other components as well that could be benefit in the car audio market with the way they connect and the way they operate that could also benefit everyone.
Yeah, and the balanced line drivers, they were pretty hot back in the day. And, I mean, I don't know how popular they are now. I guess it's more of a digital toss-link kind of world now. But back then, the balanced line drivers, balance inputs, are a big deal.
If you think about it, it's a great idea because one of the biggest problems in car audio is noise, right? Because you've got a very noisy environment, and using the balanced cables, anything to minimize noise. And Pro Audio obviously has figured it out that you have to use balanced transmitters and receivers and cables to be able to keep the audio clean. But the problem with car audio is everybody wants to use RCAs. Because they're easy.
And they're awesome.
They are awesome, especially the ones that go in a certain direction because all the electrons go that way because they can't flow back. They only go one way.
Yeah, just like the one, you ever seen the one-way tires? It's like that.
Yeah, you got to watch those.
Yeah.
Be careful you don't back up too fast. You have troubles. So, I digress. Let's talk about our topic today, subwoofer enclosures, building, buying, and learning. And thanks to Mr. Vega for putting together this topic, and he's going to be kind of our resident expert today on this. I'll add items as I can, but we'll talk about this. You guys who are joining us live, first off, thank you for joining us live. And if you have questions and stuff, just wait to the end because we like to record our podcasts for audio purposes to put on iTunes and Google Play and other areas, but we like to kind of keep it clean all the way through our segment, and at the very end we'll answer your questions. So stick around and ask us what you want, but you have to wait to the end. So it's kind of like Marvel movie, you have to wait to the the teaser, you have to wait to the very end, or kind of like my videos. I do that a lot.
Yeah,
gotta watch them all the way to the end. So just
big
stick
dummy
around.
Stuff.
Big dummy, that's right. I gotta always throw it in there.
All right.
So go ahead, you start off.
All right. So I'm far from an expert on this, but this will be a HiFiVega topic right here. So if my face or voice annoys you, you might want to skip out now because I'm going to be on here a lot. Let's
Don't skip out.
Yeah. Don't. Even if I annoy you, just stay on. So we're going to talk about building versus buying an enclosure. What are your thoughts on that?
Well, I've got some thoughts now, especially these days. I mean, if we're talking back in the 90s, I would say you want to build a box to make sure that you get a decent quality box, not only the thickness of the wood, but the quality of the material and also the specs. But today, you can buy boxes that are designed for specific speakers that are prefab. And there's no problem with that, in my opinion, because you're getting the optimal box for that subwoofer. And I'm going to be up front. The one in my Honda is a prefab, but it was made for a 10W7, and it's ported 32 hertz, and it sounds fantastic. So that's my thoughts about prefab. What you think?
Okay, so in my opinion, who are prefabs for? They're for people that aren't willing to or don't have the capability of woodworking, basically, or are not willing to venture out into that area. So also people that don't, if their time is worth more than the money, it's for those people too. So at one point, prefabs, and still today, you can buy very cheap prefabs that are poorly constructed, poorly glued. They're not, they may use a few brad nails here and there. But the problem with those are you're getting in most cases, unless it's like you said, you're getting a very generic box, one size fits all. So with that, we can go into our next question.
Yeah, so what is the benefit of building the enclosure yourself? Now, I'm going to reverse back just a little
All
bit,
right.
and I'm going to stand up for myself. And you said it. So I have the capability and skills of building a box. That's not why I didn't do it. The reason I didn't build my box and bought a prefab is my weekends are spent making videos for you people. And I test mostly amplifiers and things like that. Those videos take a long time to make. So the fact that I could buy a design prefab enclosure that's for my 10W7 that fit in my car almost like it was made for the car. It's got a double baffle on the front, 3/4 inch MDF all the way around, but a double baffle on the front. So yeah, I'm gonna take up for myself and say I don't want to say that I was cheaping out or anything like that by going prefab, but you can look into it, look in these quality manufacturers that we're going to talk about, and if they've got a box that will fit your dimensions, and maybe you live in an apartment and you don't have a garage, or it's not easy for you to get somewhere where you can fabricate your box, go for the prefab. Just make sure you get a decent one, like Mr. Vega's already mentioned. Don't get a cheap one, that's made out of 1/4 inch chipboard.
Right.
You got to get one that's quality made. So with that said, I'm going to ask Mr. Vega the question that I started off with before I started blabbing. What are the benefits of building an enclosure yourself?
Okay, so the benefits to me, for one, I just enjoy doing it myself. It's something you can be proud of when you're done. But more specifically, you can build a box in any fashion that you choose. It can be a square box. It can be slanted. You can tweak your dimensions in any which way you want to. Not to mention, you can go well outside of manufacturers' recommended specs, and you can get much more performance than what they recommend for most people. Now, in some certain cases, you can contact the manufacturer, and they will kind of shoot you a custom for your build type box. But overall, you get to control what your box is made of, how it's built. You get to get your tolerances the way you want it. You get to make it exactly how you want it.
Right, and I think it's important to say as well that building it yourself, you can make it fit better, because even if a subwoofer needs a 1.5 cubic feet, the prefab may be square and it may not, be the perfect fit for your pickup truck. So you may need to, if you build it yourself, you can still use the 1.5 cubic feet, but you can slant the front and modify it in a way that would work out. Now, I don't know that we talk about it here. If we do, I apologize for jumping ahead, but there are people such as Mark at Car Audio Fabrication who will do custom plans for you that'll actually tell you what size to cut all the wood and and all that. And, that could be helpful to somebody who's never done this before and doesn't understand the process of using the software to help build their subwoofer boxes.
And that is a very good option. Someone like Mark, who is very skilled and knows exactly what he's doing. And yeah, it's going to cost you a little bit of money, but it's a very small amount of money for the time and effort that goes into it, in my opinion. And I know Mark gives you a cut sheet as well. So he's going to help you optimize your wood, which is a big part of building an enclosure. If you just start cutting and going crazy, you're going to use a lot more wood than you should.
Yeah, and those large sheets of 3/4 inch MDF are not cheap. I don't know the last time I bought one, but they're around $30 or so now. Is that right?
In my area, it's about 35.
35. So yeah,
30 to 35.
yeah. So you don't. I mean, hey, if you can save a sheet, that's saving $35. So
Right.
it's worth it to buy those if you can. So, who makes some quality prefab enclosures, Mr. Vega?
So these days, the main ones that I know of are A-Trend. They make probably the most top-notch box. They have a popular box called a base box. I don't know if you've heard of that.
Yep.
They make those, and they offer more than just the charcoal carpet. They have it painted with the, I can't even think of it, the truck bed liner.
Oh yeah, the Rhino liner stuff.
The Rhino liner stuff, yeah. And then for a little bit cheaper option, that's that's decent sound ordinance from Crutchfield. They make pretty solid boxes from what I've seen. They're not maybe up to the full level of A-Trend, but they're on par, and they're much better than some of the cheaper eBay boxes that you might see.
Right. Now, the one I purchased, I don't remember the seller on eBay, but it was an eBay box, and it wasn't either one of these brands, but it was, they were somebody who did custom boxes for mostly JL audio subwoofers, because I guess JL is so popular that, they know that people are going to need these, especially the W6s and W7s that need the boxes that are built better so that they can withstand the pressure. But we'll try to link to all those in the description so you guys can go back and look and just see what works for you, because I would not cheap out. I think the box for my Honda was $120 or something, which to somebody who doesn't know what a box should cost and they see them at flea market for 15 or $20, a quality box, if you take the time that it takes you to build it and add up all the cost of the wood, of the carpet and everything, I mean, you're not going to get anywhere near $100, but still, the time and the quality means something to me, obviously, and it should mean something to you, because you really don't want to cheap out on your sub boxes. Then you're not going to be happy, and then you're just going to tear it up and build another one anyway.
And another option for you is an option that I used when I first got into it was have a local shop, if you have one around, build one for you. Now, I paid $180 for a single 12 enclosure. It was a Rockford Fosgate Punch DVC 12. So I think I paid almost exactly as much as the sub cost for the enclosure. But they designed it specifically for it, and it was a very nice box, sit behind my S10. And it was worth $180 to me at the time to get that built.
Right. I guess the other way to look at it is when you think about a lot of people want to get a 2,000 watt amplifier for $200 these days, do they always consider the electrical that's required? It's kind of the same thing. You're not going to get the best benefit out of your speaker, so you could have a $500 18-inch subwoofer that's the Mac Daddy sub, but if your box is no good, then you've wasted your money. It's the same thing as buying an amplifier that's 5,000 watts and you haven't upgraded your electrical. In order to get the best out of your system, and that's why you need to plan, and that's why the Dummies for Car audio book is helpful, because it tells you things that you need to consider, because we've been doing this for a while, so we know the steps that are required to set up a system. But we have to assume that a lot of people who are just getting into car audio, they don't know. And it's not their fault that they don't know, but, knowing the resources to go to, knowing the places to look, that would be very beneficial.
Right. And, you can blow out those cheap prefabs. I mean, it's happened to probably at least 3 or 4 people I've known. They come there like, hey, my sub's blown. Can you look at it? The sub's not blown. It's just they blew a panel loose on their box and it's sitting there just, doing this jazz. So, and then, while we're on the topic of prefabs, this is something you mentioned earlier that I didn't even consider: manufacturer built boxes. Those, in my opinion, in most cases are well above a normal prefab because their JL sometimes is not even designing it specifically for that sub, but specifically for a vehicle. And MTX does the same thing. Rockford does some of it. There's quite a few companies that offer it.
Right, and I'm going to share my screen again and show people one of the videos I made a while back about the Polk Audio C4 subwoofer. And this is from way back in the 90s, but actually early 90s. But it gives you an idea, of what a prefab enclosure from a manufacturer could look like. Now, this was at the time pretty high tech because it used bandpass and it had 6x9s, pretty wild enclosure. But yeah, if you look at, some of the more well-known manufacturers, Rockford Fosgate, JL Audio, etc., they're gonna have, the prefab enclosures they have with the speakers in them. They're gonna be made to work together. So if they fit in your car and it fits your budget, that could be something to consider.
Yeah, and the budget's a big thing because those boxes are not cheap. And that Polk in particular, that was way ahead of its time. I mean, the design had been around forever, but in car audio, just having something like that was cool. With 6x9s, I mean, it was crazy cool when it come out.
Yeah, but the other thing back then is I don't say rarely, but overall you saw mostly full range boxes. Now Rockford and MTX and some other ones made some just subwoofer only boxes, but a lot of them were full range because there were a lot more hatchbacks back then. People would throw those full range boxes in the back of their hatchback Escort, and they'd have all the sound they wanted, even though it was coming from behind them. Hey, it was still loud, and it just required 1 2-channel amp, and you had plenty of power. Now today, people who have Jeeps may still want something like that because you don't want to keep stuff in the back, but you could throw a full range box back there, get your sounds, or turn it around if you're having a party or something, going to the beach. And so those could still work these days. You can still look and see though, or you could build one.
Yeah, I mean, and those you can pull out easily. And our buddy Mike Schultz, he knows a little bit about that box that rocks. And that was a lot of people. I mean, when I said my first system, I had the piezo's in there and the crunch tins and all that jazz, and it was really popular.
Yeah, those I don't know how you say it, piezo,
Yeah,
however you say it. Just know that when you hear it, they're kind of harsh.
they're loud.
But yeah,
And a quick sidebar on that. There is so many things that I said incorrectly because we didn't have the internet and I didn't know. So I'm reading this book, and there were so many brands and like esoteric. I didn't even, I can't even remember how to pronounce it, but I did not pronounce it esoteric until well later into the 2000s.
I have that problem with songs. I call it chronic lyrictosis. I think I know the lyrics, and then I like see it, and you see the lyrics, and I'm like, man, I was so far off. So it can happen to anyone, not just you, even if your last name's Vega.
Big dummy.
Hashtag. Have to keep that one going. So let's move on to planning a box build. What tools and software might one need?
Okay, so let's start off with calculating airspace. That's something very simple. There's a math equation you can do. Dividing your numbers, just like you're figuring out area, dividing it by 1722.
1728. That is the number you shall never forget.
Yeah.
1728.
And I don't even use that no more because I use Basic Car Audio and Electronics, their website. It's excellent, not just for enclosure building, but for anything. It's basically your car audio book for dummies, but on the web.
That is so true, and I can't believe that I've never brought that up before because that is an excellent website. Those of you, and I'm talking to you, who are new to car audio, you're listening to this and you don't really know what we're talking about, you just want some boom in your trunk or whatever, go to this website. We'll link it below, bcae1.com. It's Basic Car Audio Electronics, the number one. And wow, it is some fantastic material there.
Right. And any question you might have, there will be something on there to reference it.
Yeah, that's a great site. So what about building your box?
Okay, so building your box, you can go about it several different ways. Like I said earlier, you can contact the manufacturer. You can look in your owner's manual, and those are going to be general recommendations for enclosure for that specific subwoofer. Now, you can take it a step further and download some software. I use WinISD because it's free and I'm just familiar with it. But there's also a program called Basebox Pro, which is part of the TermLab software, and I believe it's like 160. So I haven't played with that, but a lot of people recommend that as well. And when you get this software, you're going to enter in all your TL small parameters in there, and you're going to be able to mock up what your box is going to do. You're going to, if you want to go 32 hertz, if you want to go 30 hertz, if you want to go 35, you're going to be able to see how that subwoofer is going to react in that enclosure and see if where you're getting your, you might be plus 12 dB at 40 hertz with a 35 hertz tuned enclosure. So you can play around with it. And if you've never used it before, it's going to take a little bit of getting used to. But once you do, it's well worth it because you can exceed those standard recommendations easily with that.
Right, and the other, I'm going to go back a little bit to your previous mention about contacting the manufacturer. A lot of them have, different graphs already drawn on their website. So it'll say, do you prefer rap music? Do you prefer classical? And they'll have different boxes, or they'll have different size enclosures based on the type of music you like. Now, unfortunately, there is no one size fits everybody as far as an enclosure goes, but I'm just going to use an example of me way back in the day. This is before the internet and things like that. The MTX Blue Thunder 10s I had back in 1990, they were recommended for a 1 cubic foot sealed enclosure per driver. So that's how I used them in my pickup truck. Well, when my dad got tired of seeing me trying to 6'4" get in and out of a Ford Courier pickup truck with the seat pushed all the way up because my subwoofer box was behind me, and let me take the 5-door Nissan, then I could do a bigger box. So I contacted MTX and said, "Hey, I've got a decent size hatchback trunk. What size box should I use?" They said, "Well, what do you want? What do you want to listen to, or what type of music?" I said, "I want some bass." I said, "I want to be able to hear it and feel it and all that stuff." And they said, "Okay, 3 cubic feet per subwoofer. These are 10s with a 4-inch by 12-inch port on each sub." So I was like, 3 cubic feet? It was a 6 cubic foot box for 2 10s? Okay, that's what MTX recommended. So with my brother's help, we built the box with the 4-inch ports by 10-inch, and dude, everybody thought I had 15s. That thing slammed. Now, it wasn't clean bass, like it wasn't, super controlled, but when those bass notes from DJ Magic Mike hit, you knew Big D was in the house.
Oh, yeah, beating a block down.
That's right.
And back in the day, I'd done the same thing, too. When the much-hated Kicker L7 come out, that was a square sub, and I was like, well, I want to, they say these things could really do something. I didn't build an enclosure, matter of fact. I think someone gave me an enclosure that they had built. It sounded okay. I ended up contacting Kicker, and they had me build a 3 cubic foot ported enclosure tuned to like 38 hertz or 39 hertz, somewhere around there. and that thing was incredible. I had 1,200 watts on it, double the RMS rating for that 12. And I was doing like 148, 149 on the old audio control in a, extended cab S10.
Wow.
So you can do something, especially if you contact the manufacturer. A lot of them are willing to work with you and try to help you get what you want.
Yeah, I guess, and the other thing too is, if you use your local shop, they'll have ideas too, because they probably have tried different enclosures as well and what works in certain vehicles and or not.
Right.
So what about material choices? I know, we talked about MDF before. There's other choices, and if you want to really go out, you could use some plexi.
Okay. Yeah, that Plexi's well out of our price range, I'm sure. But back in the day, people were making, and some of them cheap prefabs. They come with particle board boxes, which was, I mean, that's not recommended by me or just about anybody anymore. But MDF was always my choice, and I never even considered birch until I built that ISO box on my channel, linked to the video below. And let me tell you, man, that thing is light and it sounds, like I say, a lot of times I have preconceived notions in my head of what something's going to sound like. But when I got it, I really like that enclosure. I like the way it sounds, and I can't knock birch anymore because I shouldn't have knocked it in the first place because I never tried it. But now that I've tried it, I just know it's quality stuff and it sounds great. It's lighter.
Yeah, I can vouch for your box because I've heard it and it sounds fantastic. Now, cost-wise, the birch is what, 50 or 55 bucks a sheet, quite a bit more than MDF.
Yeah, it's about $20 more a sheet.
Yeah, but man, again, check the description for his video because not only does that box sound good, it actually looks really cool too. The way he did the isobaric and the plexi window and just the finish of the box itself. Birch is really nice, and a lot of you guys don't want to weigh down your cars with heavy boxes because if you double baffle MDF box, I mean, those things are freaking heavy.
Yeah, they're heavy, and especially in the ISO configuration was my main concern was you got two subwoofers like this, and you got all that weight on one side of the box. So I wanted something to be light enough that I could take it in and out when I need to.
Sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt you. This is not an isobaric configuration, but it looks very similar to one. So I was just going to show it real quick, and I just made a lot of noise and switched to video. Sorry about that. Those of you who are listening, yeah, this is the base pump by Acoustic, and I was schooled. I originally thought this was isobaric, but it's not. But I just wanted to kind of give a visual to what Mr. Vega was talking about the woofers facing each other. Okay, so we talked about the materials. Well, basically, we're talking, you don't want to use chipboard, right? So you want to use either MDF or birch, or if you got mad cash and know how to work with it, you can use some thick plexiglass.
Yeah, you can. I mean, there was a lot of boxes made with plexiglass, and I've never done it, but it's if you got the money, do it.
Yeah, it's pretty cool. I know the one that Steve Mead did with those 24s. He covered some of the front of it with, I don't even know what it was. It was like inch thick plexi. There's no telling how much that cost.
Yeah, the Skeletor box. I think
that's
one you're talking. Yeah, that was a cool box.
Yeah, it's very cool. I still can't imagine those 24-inch subs.
No, that's crazy.
Those things are sick. So what kind of tools might the average Joe need who wants to build their own subwoofer box?
Okay, so you're going to need at minimum a circular saw and a jigsaw and some sort of drill. It could be preferably not an impact because you're going to be needing to do some actual drilling. Outside of that, like recommended, I would say a table saw. You want a table saw because it's hard to get a square cut. I mean, you can use a straight edge with a circular saw and get by with that, but you're going to run into some trouble at some point making straight cuts. A router is one of the biggest tools you can use for doing this type of stuff. It's really helpful. I use a rotozip to cut my holes because the bits are cheap and it's just easy. A level, basic stuff like that. You need a level, tape measure, maybe a yardstick or something to mark stuff off. You can do it with a basic set of tools. Of course, if you can add a router or a table saw, it'll make it much easier.
Yeah, now I know some of the stores like Lowe's and Home Depot used to let you take in a cut sheet and they would cut the MDF for you, but I think they all have kind of limited the amount they'll cut per sheet. Have you noticed that, or have you been
Yep,
there lately?
yeah, and I used to do that a lot because they got nice panel saws and they can do it quickly. So now what they do is they don't guarantee a accurate cut. But what you can have them do is say you have a lot. Say your enclosure's 30 inches wide, you can have them rip 30 inches all the way down, and that way you got some of your big cuts done. And especially if your table saw's small, you're not going to be able to cut 30 inches anyways. So you can do that.
Yeah, and if you have a friend or know somebody who has a CNC
Yeah.
machine, hit them up because they can do this really simply. They'll just put it into the computer and they'll cut it out for you. But yeah, most people don't have access to that. But yeah, you don't really need, I mean, nothing that you mentioned there was, too extreme. You get a jigsaw and a circular saw, you can probably borrow one from a friend and, just try it out. I think it's a good skill to learn how to build boxes. And we didn't really have this as a topic here, but I'm sure it's something you want to mention. The type of glue that you would want to use for a sub box. I know that there's a lot of different choices when you go to the store as to what you should choose. Do you have any preferred brands or preferred types of wood
So
glue?
most woodworkers are familiar with Type Bond, and that's what I use. I use Type Bond 2. The original Type Bond will work, and it's perfectly fine. Type Bond 3 is a waterproof glue, and to me it runs a little bit more. It's a little more difficult to use, so I stick with the 2. The other popular is just straight up Elmer's wood glue. Works just fine. I've used it plenty of times. And they also have Elmer's wood glue Max, which is a paste type material, and it doesn't run, so it's more expensive. But if you're worried about glue getting everywhere and you just kind of want to brush it on, that's really good. And then they have Gorilla Glue, wood glue, which
Yeah,
is
I was gonna
basically, it's like Elmer's to me.
yeah, I was gonna say what about the construction adhesive or stuff like that? Will that work okay too?
I haven't used that, but I watch a lot of EXO's videos, and he uses it like crazy. So I mean, and he's doing some crazy bass. So obviously, it's got to work pretty well.
Yeah, it depending on how much you need, that may be the cheaper route because you can get that in the long tubes, and you can look like you're really know what you're doing if you use construction adhesive.
Yeah, and like 300 screws.
That's right. Just don't strip them out because if you're using MDF and you screw it in too far, then you've lost your threads.
Yes, yes. Pre-drill your holes, all of them.
Yeah, because it will crack. That
Yeah,
is
pre
something very
pre-drill,
important.
countersink.
So speaking of that, the next topic is tips and tricks, and we just gave them one.
Right. So, you know, I don't use screws myself, and that's because I'm not doing anything crazy. I'm not doing no EXO level builds. Most of mine are pretty tame, but I use brad nails, and I'm using the brad nails to hold the box together. That's all it's for. Is I'm putting enough in there to hold together because the glue, two pieces of wood glued together, will usually not break at the glue joint. They will break somewhere else because the glue is typically stronger than the wood itself. And if you have tight enough tolerances on your cuts, that'll also seal your box, so you don't have to worry about sealing it. Another tip that I would recommend is setting up your saw. So do some test cuts with your circular saw or your table saw. Make sure your fence is set up correctly. Do a test cut because you will not believe how many times I've cut and I've been square on one end, a 16th or a 32nd off on the other. And once you do that, that's a gap. That's a gap you got to worry about now, later on down the road.
Yeah, that can be problematic. We don't want to, what they always say, measure twice, cut once. It's very important, especially when you're talking about this expensive wood. If you're using, the birch or something like that, you want to make sure that you obviously take the time and the effort to get it right the first time. So,
Right.
what does Brad say when you use all of his nails?
Oh, he gets pretty mad. He doesn't. He's a screw guy, so he didn't want me using all his nails.
Sorry, I just had to go there. Uh, so, okay, those were great tips and tricks that you mentioned. What about some common mistakes and how to fix them?
Okay, we kind of ended on a common mistake was when you got a miscut. What do you do now? And it happens to me to this day. I mean, I got a cheap table saw, so I just have to deal with this issue because the fence will not be lined up. I need to correct that. But so say you got a gap. How are you going to fix that? Well, if you're covering the box on the outside, you don't really need to worry about it on the outside. On the inside, throw a little bit of caulking in there and seal up your box. Make sure that you don't have any air leaks. Even on a ported enclosure, you want the air to go out where you want it to go out. You don't want it to leak out the sides. So, cosmetically, if you're covering it, it's not an issue. Now, if you're going to paint this box, now you got a problem. So, you're going to want to use, fix this here. So, you're going to want to use some like wood filler, or you can use some MDF dust and some glue and fill it in. Or if you got that gap and you're still putting the box together, grab some clamps and clamp that dude down as tight as you can get it on that one side. It's going to be a little off overall, but as long as you're not talking about a quarter-inch gap, you got like a 16th, maybe even to an eighth, you can close that gap with clamps.
And these days, with places like Harbor Freight, where they've always got 25% off coupons, you have no excuse not to have clamps because they have clamps galore at Harbor Freight and they are cheap. And granted, some of the real cheap ones probably won't last that long, but you can at least have something to help keep your subwoofer box together. We didn't really have that. We didn't have clamps as a topic. I don't know how you feel about the Harbor Freight ones.
All my clamps are Harbor Freight.
Okay.
And a lot of them have broken, but you know what? I just go get another one. Or I've got some where the handles have broken off, and I just use a pair of pliers to tighten it up. So, clamps are just there to hold something. They don't need to be high quality. I mean, I don't plan on passing them down to my grandkids and that type of stuff.
Right. Yeah, we'll save the other tools for, handing them down, like the Craftsman quality stuff or whatever
Yeah.
Husky, whatever you want, whatever brand you have. So what about covering the enclosure? Now I know that there's some really good videos out there on YouTube. We'll try to find one or two to link to this one or from this one in the video description that shows how to do it because there really is a skill depending on if you're using carpet, if you're using vinyl. Obviously, the easy route is to get the Rhino liner now and use it, which works great and it makes the enclosure really durable and waterproof and all that, or water resistant, I should say. Don't be putting the thing underwater, people. So, what are your thoughts about covering the enclosure and how to know what to choose, and if it's a beginner, to choose one over another, or what do you think about that?
So, this is my weak point. This is my weak point on building enclosures is covering them. And just let me start off by saying, if you have any questions about any covering, whether it be carpet, whether it be vinyl, whether it be painting on a Rhino lining or I forget what the new coating's called, check out Mark at Cardio Fabrication. He is an expert at this. And I use his videos to cover, to figure out how I'm going to cover my boxes because he goes through it and he's very thorough. Now, if you're a beginner, you're going to want to probably use carpet because it's forgiving. You can stretch it and it covers up a lot of flaws. And to the next level, vinyl is very difficult to work with. Even if you get the four-way stretch vinyl, it's difficult. You pretty much need your stuff paint ready if you're going to cover it in vinyl because it's going to show every single flaw. Then you go a step to that, paint ready. You could just paint it. A lot of people paint their boxes, even with automotive type paint, put a clear sealant on it, and those turn out great. But you need it to be paint ready. That means doing whatever. You may have to Bondo it. You may have to, just treat it like you would any other thing that you're going to paint. You're going to have to prime it. You're going to do all that type of stuff. The next step is the rhino lining, and in that, you got a little bit of forgiveness. You can have some flaws, but you don't have to be absolute paint ready for that. It'll cover up quite a bit. You can also, if you use birch, you can stain it like I did. That is, to me, that's probably the easiest thing to do in the world. Is just throw, 6 coats of stain on it, and it will hold up just like a table or anything else would.
Yeah, and something to say about that. Birch costing a little bit more, but the ease of just putting the finish on it and the way your box looks, it's super clean. It looks like a piece of furniture. I mean, it's really nice. The wife acceptance factor is high on that, right?
Yeah. No, I mean, you could tell if you watch my Infinity enclosure, it's got Bondo on it now because I originally planned on finishing it all out, and I was going to rhino line it and do all that type of stuff. But I needed to get the video out, and I was like, you know what? This is a test enclosure until I figure out whatever sub I'm going to throw in there. It'll just be like this, warts and all.
Absolutely. So is there anything else you want to talk about the box builds or any of the other topics we missed? I think we covered it. Not, we didn't cover
Literally.
head to toe, but we covered some of the high points. This is an hour-long podcast. This is not going to be super in-depth. We just kind of want to hit the high points and kind of give you an idea of where to look. And again, check the video description for links. We'll try to send you to the right places. Make sure that you're getting good content. But is there anything else we missed?
Well, I mean, I think we covered the general topic, like you said. But if anybody has questions about anything that I've done particularly, they can ask us after the video is up, and then we can get into questions later. But I think we covered it pretty well.
Okay, yeah, and those who are listening to this via podcast, you can send us an email, 12vtalk.com, 12vtalk@gmail.com. Mr. Vega and I both monitor that, so if you have specific questions, we'll try to answer best we can or send you to the right place maybe that can answer your question.
Yeah, because we're not getting no emails, so fill that box up.
Yeah, well, hey, we have triple-digit subscribers now.
I've seen that. We're in the bigs now.
What was it just a couple weeks ago? I was saying, Robert, we have 6. We don't even have double digits. And now we've got over 100. I don't know at what point we can have our custom URL, but that's what I'm looking forward to. So that way I can say youtube.com/12volttalk or 12vtalk, because right now it's a string of characters about, that long. If you know how many characters that is, you can count them. It's like 200, something like that. So, what's going on in car audio and YouTube this week? You have some things to talk about, Mr. Vega?
Yeah. So there's I'm in quite a few of the YouTube, I guess, communities. I look around, I watch a lot of videos. I don't always comment a lot on everything, but like I mentioned before, Mark at Car Audio Fabrication, he's doing a Jeep Cherokee. He done a system plan video, and he also done an Amprac video. That's pretty cool. Steve Mead, he's probably one of the most popular car audio YouTubers. He's done a really cool fastener-less terminal cup. I don't know if you've seen that, but it's actually really cool. Old School Car Audio, Craig, he's doing some old school quizzes on his YouTube channel. I really like that. That's something that's right up my alley. They're building I believe it's a Starlet, and I swear they've got more money put in the deadener than that car's worth. So check those out. EXO blew $8,000 worth of subwoofers just recently, and he's got some really cool videos on there. I mean, he's got a video of him laying across all the subs, and they're just bouncing them up and down. So that's awesome. 5 Star Car Audio, they just come back from Knowledge Fest, and they've posted quite a few videos about that. They're back to their normal schedule. Quality mobile video. They just showed off Kenwood head unit, Kenwood sub and bass package, an old school type bass tube.
Wow, man, you really covered it. I've seen some of those, but not all of them. I've seen the short version of the EXO laying on top of the 18-inch subs.
Yeah.
That is just too cool. I don't know how many views he's got on that video, but he should have 1 million or more because it's really cool. And I try to keep up with Mark and Cardio Fabrication, all his stuff, Steve Mead, all of them. I mean, we're creators, but we're also consumers as far as the content goes, so we enjoy watching it as well. And we're trying to get these guys, the way we look at it is we like collaboration. We feel that the more the community gets together, the better it is for everybody, because people may not like to watch us, they may like to watch them, but vice versa. They may like to watch us and not watch them, and then we talk about them and they say, oh, I've never really seen that. That's probably the case here. Some of those 100 people, they've never seen those other guys, they just seen us.
Yeah.
They've seen this bald spot with this little dot right here from the light. And
I'm sure that's what it is.
Just can't get enough. But yeah, I'm going to talk about a couple of those that you mentioned kind of in the upcoming videos and the picks of the week as well when we get there. But now let's talk about some of the audience feedback. So as we just mentioned a few minutes ago, we've got over 100 subscribers now on our 12V Talk YouTube channel. And we've had some really good feedback this week. I didn't have anything in the held for review or likely spam folder. And if you're a YouTube creator, you know what those two are. Those are the ones where people say stuff and say words they shouldn't say and puts them in those folders, or if they're just spammers. But yeah, we've got people like Cafe 80S saying, awesome show. Now I can finally watch part 4. We've got a lot of people saying another great show, really enjoyed it. People talk about some of their old systems. Those are the type feedback we like. You guys tell us what you enjoy, and also tell us what we're doing right, but tell us what we could be doing better too, because we're just enthusiasts doing this, and I'm sure there's some ways that we could do this better, or topics that you might want us to cover, or guests you may want us to have on, because we do plan, once we get this remote connection thing settled out and figure out a way to do it properly, we plan on having guests on as well, because I think that'll add a whole new level to our podcast.
Oh yeah, and I haven't been on the 12 volt talk here lately on the YouTube channel, but I try to go in those comments. I want to interact with every person that leaves something on there.
Yeah, between you or I went through this morning and made sure they were all replied to. But yeah, we've got some really good feedback so far. So yeah, just please leave us feedback on the YouTube channel. We also recently set up a Facebook page. It's facebook.com/12vtalk. See us there too, but it's really difficult, having so many different pages and everything. So YouTube is probably the better place. And again, we plan on the website 12volttalk.com. Right now it forwards to our SoundCloud page, but in the future we will have like a blog style page where you can see different episodes, and we'll have links where you can buy things and stuff like that. So I think it'll be a good place to kind of put all these details that we talk about sometimes in links, because we're talking here like everybody's watching on YouTube. I'm sure a lot of people prefer to consume this type of content via audio and not video, so we want to make sure that you guys have all the resources you need as well.
Yeah, right. That way they can get on there and kind of put our faces to the voices, because I know that is a big thing for me listening to podcasts. I don't know what these people look like, and I'm quite surprised when I see what they look like when I've been listening to them for several years. So,
well, all I got to say is y'all hadn't seen us yet. You're gonna be impressed,
and they're gonna want an afro.
Yeah,
so.
They're gonna wonder about my little picture there, because I don't have quite that much hair, but if you're listening to this podcast and haven't seen us on YouTube, teaser, you need to go watch it. So, speaking of podcast, Mr. Vega, how might people find our audio version of our podcast?
You can find us on iTunes, Google, or just about anywhere by searching 12E Talk or BigDWiz or HiFiVega. We are on almost everything now, and we're working on Spotify. There's some magical mystery sauce that they do to get on there, but we're going to try to do it.
Hey, Spotify, if you're listening, hook us up. Get us on there.
I think Spotify was like 116 subscribers, so.
I bet you're right.
Yeah.
So yeah, make sure you look us up. What about picks of the week? You want to start with that?
Yeah, I'll start with it. So, we're getting into car audio land. Now, I'm typically one of the small, and if you watch a few of my videos, you see I use the small wire strippers that just do different gauges by adjusting the little turn wheel. But these right here, I just recently got these, and I really like them. And I typically don't like this style, but these are well built. The cutter actually works like it should. The strippers are sharp, and it's got a nice spring in there. So, I mean, if you're looking for, I think these cost maybe $15. Well worth it, in my opinion. The Klein wire strippers.
Yeah, I think Klein they're not what I'd call high end, but they're definitely, most of the things that have their name on them are quality. So, you can get a cheap wire stripper at Harbor Freight for $5, but it's not going to work good. It's not going to be sharp. Some things you can cheap out on, like we talked about before, the clamps. You can get a cheap clamp, but when you want wire cutters, and like my 0 gauge wire cutters that I bought, Klein, they were maybe $25, but those things, they'll cut 0 gauge wire like hot butter. I mean,
and they make most of their stuff in the USA. And matter of fact, they're probably like 4 miles down the road, one of their factories where they build for me. So.
Oh wow, you should get a drive-by discount.
Oh, I know. I tell them sponsored us.
That's right. They should be on here. We can maybe get somebody from Klein Tools to tell us about their car audio tools. Klein, if you're listening.
I don't think they're worried about car audio, but they should be.
That's right. It's taking over the world. BigDWiz, HiFiVega taking over the world. Isn't that right?
All right. So what's your pick?
So my pick, I'm going to share my screen because my pick is not really a pick. It's a couple of other YouTube channels. You actually have already talked about them, so we didn't talk about this beforehand. But my buddies Dean and Fernando at 5-Star Car Stereo, these guys put out so much content. I don't even know how they put out as much content as they do. I don't think Dean sleeps,
No.
but they put out so much. But the thing that's really cool about them is they've got 69,000 subscribers. I'm right at 69 or 70. And then my other one is Quality Mobile Videos, another one that you just talked about. They've got 71,497. So the three of us, our three channels, are very close to getting to that silver play button 100K subscribers. So actually, Quality Mobile Video hit me up and said, hey, we need help with something. So I'm not going to tell you what it is, but we're actually doing a little collab, and that should be coming out pretty soon. So you guys will be able to see that, see me in one of their videos, and then yeah, I'm excited about it. And Dean and Fernando, we talked to them before about doing some stuff together, so we're going to try to work something out in the future that we can do a collaboration with them. But yeah, both of these guys are great. If you haven't subscribed to their channels, check them out because they both have fantastic videos.
Yeah, and if you're into the longer form content, I mean, Dean and Fernando, I mean, they do like an hour show a day, it seems like. I mean, it's insane the amount of work how are they doing them in cars? That's what I want to know. How'd they get those cars and the video done?
I don't know, so I said I don't think Dean sleeps, but the one thing that he does that's so impressive is to watch his wiring. You just have to watch it because it is like art to no form. He doesn't like to use wood, so he uses mostly ABS plastic to make his amp racks and stuff. But the wiring that he does, it is just, you got to see it.
I know. I don't want him to ever see my wiring in my truck. I'm embarrassed.
Well, you don't do this every day like he does, and he's been doing it for many years, so he's obviously honed that skill, and does a great job.
Yeah,
So
they
now
do.
that,
They do. Oh,
yep,
I was just gonna say they do great work and quabble quabble quality mobile video. They do a bunch of cool videos every week. Just about they do cool videos. So
they really, some of the things they do, I love to see things like that because it makes me think how I can do better. But have you ever noticed the way they use like the neon in the back? Or it's not neon, it's LEDs, but they use the different colors in the background,
yeah,
and they use really large apertures in their camera shots, so everything's blurred in the background. Those who don't know what I'm talking about, if you watch their videos, you can just tell they look real professional because they spend a lot of time with the setup and making sure there's no reflection on the screens and stuff like that. So they do a great job.
yeah. And they
And
got
what?
two guys that look eerily similar.
Yeah, that's right. Well, Boston Jim and James, yeah, they must be twins from different parts of the country or something.
Yeah,
Yeah, but if you haven't seen their Ferrari install, I think that's one of the ones that kind of shot them up because they did. Was it a? I don't want to get the. Was it an F355? I can't remember which Ferrari it was, but it was a cool install, and Lorenzo showed how difficult it was to work on that car and how careful he had to be. So we'll link so you guys can check that out if you haven't seen it. So what do you have coming up? Upcoming videos? You're still working with some subwoofers, I take it?
yep. We're still working on the 12-inch shootout. I just recently released a video explaining the tracks I used and giving a short demo of the Infinity, some I wasn't able to include in the first video. Rockford Fosgate should be coming out tomorrow, I hope. And hopefully I can finish out the video shots I need for that. I hope to have it up soon. I don't know when exactly, but as soon as I can, and we'll have the next. I'm not going to reveal it here, but I already know what sub's going in next, and it's going to be awesome.
Sweet. I look forward to that. I love to see those shootouts. And people that don't know, a lot of people, and we've talked about this before, but people see YouTube videos and they're 5 minutes long. They think it takes you 5 minutes to make it. Take that and multiply it a minimum times 10, usually 20 or more times how long the video is how long it takes to make. And I said that wrong, 100 times. It's a lot. If it's
Yeah,
5 minutes, it takes 5 hours or more,
yeah, and
depending on.
especially on my videos, I try to keep them short. But just the shooting, I mean, the shooting of the video is the most overwhelming to me. I don't do a lot of fancy editing. I kind of keep it simple, but
Yeah, it's difficult to get all the shots right, and a lot of times when you're doing things in car audio, you're not thinking about how to frame your shot. So if you're filming it, you have to add that into the complexity of whatever you're doing. So good. I look forward to seeing more of the subwoofer videos. So for me, what I have coming up is actually the Orion 3K giveaway video is going to come out soon. Maybe by the time some of you guys have heard this, those who are listening to it live should be in a couple of days. Actually, the winner has already been notified, and the amp is already shipped to him. And I think it arrives tomorrow. So we're gonna get a picture of him with the amp, and Orion and myself are gonna post it and show people what can happen if
yeah,
you
I mean,
watch.
that's one lucky dude, man. That is a cool amp. I mean, I could have never run it because frankly, I don't have the power to run it. But whoever won the amp is lucky.
Yeah, he was pretty excited. He's like, I'd never won anything. This is so cool. I was like, well, be ready, because she is a beast. But along with that, I just did the Car Audio Bargain 2Ks, and I'm doing the giveaway, or I'm going to go over the giveaway this weekend. I'm going to select randomly a winner of one of those. So that'll be coming up within the next week. As far as the video I'm releasing this weekend, still got to work on that. So sometimes, not intentionally, things kind of get decided at the last moment, and I decide what I'm going to do. So, yeah, my next video, I don't really know yet, but it'll be something cool. Promise.
Yeah, and you know me, I'm always last minute. Like whenever you guys see the video, I just got done working on it.
That's right. And when you guys see us go live here, we just got ready to go live because we didn't have enough time tonight to go over all this and plan. We just kind of winged it. Hopefully it worked out okay. But yeah, so I think that's pretty much it for this podcast. Those of you who are live, stick around, ask us questions. But for now, I'm BigDWiz, youtube.com/BigDWiz, oldschoolstereo.com, Mr. Vega, youtube.com/HiFiVega. He's HiFiVega everywhere. Instagram, Facebook, your mama's house, everywhere. He's HiFiVega. So I'll let you say the outro.
All right. We're out of here.
Cool. All right. So I'm going to try to pull up the video.
And you know what? I don't have the... I don't see it live. I tried to refresh and...
And don't tell me we didn't go live.
Hold up. It says live.
It says 0 viewers on here.
Oh, dude.
What in the world?
It says live, but I was going to mention this earlier. I was like, surely he's got it. I was like, he's got it handled. He knows if it's live or not.
Oh, man. Don't tell me that.
Oh, my gosh. Amateur hour. We messed it all up.
So it was not live?
Mine says live. Mine says live on there.
Oh man, yeah. I should have checked. I didn't have the iPad sitting here to check. Let me see here.
Oh my gosh, do you think it recorded it even if we didn't go live?
It says that we're broadcasting right now.
That's what I thought. I turned the bell on too to be sure. Hopefully it's just something messed up on my end where I'm not seeing it.
No, I'm at the page right now and it's not. Oh man, why is it not live? Oh!
Oh, did you do it?
I forgot to make it public.
Oh my goodness. Oh no. Oh no.
Okay, so let's do this. We'll go ahead and stop this one. I'll create another one real quick that's public, and we'll go live and tell people what a big dummy I am. Because it did not even hit me until just right then that's what happened. So give me just a second.
Man, I knew I should have said something. Next time I'm gonna say something.
Well, I should have noticed there's 0 viewers. So, dang. All right, I'll call you. I'll invite you right back. Give me just about 5 minutes.
Do it in the email so I can get in.
Okay.